The mech or mecha genre is majorly popular in Japan. The land of the rising sun often dreams of an age where humanity will pilot giant robots to defend itself against alien threats. All through anime and manga you can find the mech genre, from Macross, known as Robotech here in the States, to the almighty Gundam. Japan loves their giant robots. Of course, this also extends to video games. Today I'd like to talk about one series in particular that comes from a developer you probably already know of. Before hitting mega success with their Dark Souls games, From Software made one of the most beloved mech game series, Armored Core. Yep, that's right. You may know them as the makers of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and others like it, basically inventing what's now called the Soulsborne genre, but to me, From Software will always be the developer of Armored Core. So I guess you could say Armored Core is the Dark Souls of mech games. The series was fairly popular and had a dedicated fan base, leading From Software to make 5 mainline games and more than a few spin-offs and expansions. So now that Elden Ring is about to drop and once again blow our socks off, I thought I'd take some time to discuss Armored Core and hope that one day From Software brings the series back. Armored Core is a third-person over-the-shoulder action game that came out in 1997 for the Sony PlayStation. You play a mercenary mech pilot called a Raven, and the mech pilot is of course the eponymous Armored Core. The thing that made Armored Core so cool was the customization. You had hundreds of different parts to outfit your AC with. Every part of the body was not only upgradable but replaceable. You had new arms, new legs, new cores, new weapons, and of course heads to change out and configure to your heart's content. You want a heavy, slow tank covered in armor just to absorb damage and dish it back out with heavy weapons? Or do you want a light, nimble machine capable of killing the enemy before they can shoot at you? Both were possible, and everything in between. In addition to the mix and match style for the parts themselves, Armored Core also supported a rather robust emblem creator. The emblem you made actually showed up on the shoulder of your AC in-game. For 1997, this was mind-blowing. In 1997, 3D gaming was still relatively new, and it kind of shows in the controls. The controls were a bit on the clunky side, and as much as I hate admitting this, it kind of added to the feel of these giant lumbering machines. The controls were serviceable. Just be prepared to learn a whole new and frankly antiquated method of controlling your AC. It works, but we've evolved since then. The face buttons on your controller control your handheld weapons, like rifles, machine guns, and pistols. A triangle is selecting targets, and X, yes, X, I'm never calling it a friggin' cross button, get over it, control your thrusters. L2 and R2 control your back weapons like missile launchers and grenade launchers, and R1 and L1 move the camera vertically. That's the awkward bit. You can't just move the thumbstick to look around. You have to constantly be pressing R1 and L1 to move your view up and down. Like I said, it's manageable, but you're gonna have to learn or relearn mid-90s control schemes. Unlike other popular mech combat games like MechWarrior, Armored Core is not a simulation, and leans more in the direction of arcade-style action. Armored Core tells the story of the freelance mercenary group Raven's Nest. Every Raven operates independently and is free to take on whatever job they want. This often sees Ravens on both sides of any conflict. After an event called the Great Destruction, humanity has been forced underground. This is where the game takes place, in the underground cities and civilizations. Corporations are vying for control against the very weakened Earth governments. So here you are, a brand new Raven thrust into the middle of all this, with a basic AC and no money to go build your name and fortune. So off you go out into the world to start accepting contracts from the various movers and shakers in this world. That's pretty much it. Story is never the series' strong suit. It takes a page from the Doom method of storytelling. There's one there, but it's not all that important. You take jobs, earn money to buy upgrades for your AC, and slowly your reputation gets better and lets you take on more dangerous jobs that often involve confronting rival Ravens who are working for the other side. Even back then in 1997, we see From Software's ability to make difficult games. Some of the rival Ravens you fight are incredibly difficult. Now, I'm not usually a fan of super difficult games. Have to be in the mood for it because I play games to have fun, not get controller snappingly frustrated. But I see their appeal. Finally overcoming a challenge that has beaten you into the ground over and over and over again is very satisfying. With Armored Core, I was determined to beat every Raven I faced and become the top dog. Bird. That's the basic idea, and the idea the series would follow for almost all of its run. You accept missions and then complete them for money and reputation to get more parts and advance the story. The PlayStation saw Armored Core 1, Armored Core Project Phantasma, and Armored Core Master of Arena. Armored Core Master of Arena introduced the arena mechanic. It was a ladder-style tournament that had you facing off one-on-one with your fellow Ravens, and you start at rank 100 and battle your way to the top, unlocking special rewards for your AC as you did so. The arena was by far my favorite part of any Armored Core game. Another cool feature of the PlayStation 1 era was the ability to carry over your save from one game to the next, keeping your Raven and AC intact from game to game. One last game to come out of the PS1 era was Armored Core Ninebreaker. A complete spin-off of the main series, Ninebreaker ditched any main story and focused solely on the arena. It was a big arena game, having you fight up the ranks to eventually take on the champion, the infamous Raven known as Ninebreaker. It was a fun game, and I'm not ashamed to admit I was totally okay with the arena-based spin-off. After all, I loved the idea of the arena, maybe even more so than the actual story. Armored Core 2 was a launch title for the PlayStation 2 in 2000, and began the next-gen era of Armored Core. I remember seeing Armored Core 2 on a demo machine at GameStop, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. The graphics were incredible, and one of the many naive times I have said to myself that graphics can't ever get any better than this. Oh, how young and dumb I was. Everything was upgraded for the PlayStation 2 debut. Everything, that is, except the clunky controls. New parts were added, and the ability to dash along the ground for a speed boost. The story got away from humans living underground and went for a more traditional sci-fi setting with humans colonizing Mars. Most of the core game remained the same. You're a Raven trying to earn money and wrap through missions. Unfortunately, you're starting from scratch as there was no way to import your saved data from the PlayStation 1. Armored Core 2, Another Age, was the follow-up in 2001. This was an expansion to Armored Core 2 and did allow you to transfer your saved data from the base game. Another Age finally fixes the control issue, and now all movement of the camera was done with the analog sticks. Another first for the series was using the PlayStation 2's internet adapter. With that, Ravens could go head-to-head in online multiplayer for the first time. Some of you found out you weren't the baddest Raven on the block like you thought you were. The PlayStation 2 era was the golden age for Armored Core. The system easily had the most entries in the series, and it really exploded with the release of Armored Core 3 and its various expansions. Armored Core 3 serves as both a refinement and a reboot. Released in 2002, it takes the series back to the original premise of human beings living underground in cities and basically forgot that space travel ever was a thing. Other than that, very little has changed from Armored Core 2. It was more or less more of the same, which is not a bad thing if you enjoyed what the previous games had to offer. And it being a reboot, it was incompatible with the Armored Core 2 save data. Silent Line Armored Core is next up, releasing in 2003. This made refinements to the UI and tightened up combat a little. It was a sequel to Armored Core 3 and let you import save data. The biggest contribution Silent Line made was the introduction of computer-controlled companions that help you on the battlefield. Armored Core Nexus, which was released in 2004, did something interesting. From Software treated it as a main entry, not an expansion. Therefore, save data cannot be imported. The innovations here are dual analog stick control and a new LAN mode allowing for player local play. The last of the Armored Core 3 era of games was Armored Core Last Raven, releasing in 2005. It concluded the Armored Core 3 story arc. Last Raven was unique because the entire game takes place in a 24-hour period. After 24 hours is up, the choices you make through the story affect the ending, adding a bit more RPG elements into the story. Most expansions up to this point was just more of the same, But with Last Raven, they really tried to do something different and interesting with the story. Last Raven also introduced a component damage system. Each individual part of your AC could now be damaged and knocked out of commission, kind of like how the later MechWarrior games handle damage. The PlayStation 2 saga ended with Armored Core Last Raven and was a fitting send-off for that chapter in the series. The PlayStation 2 era of Armored Core is widely regarded as its best, each game refining the gameplay until we hit its peak with Armored Core Nexus finally giving us dual analog control. The gameplay was smooth, and all the parts meant you could really make a unique AC tailored to fit your combat style. Your emblem shone proudly, and when you stepped into the multiplayer arena, other players knew who you were. The PlayStation 3 would bring this golden age to a close, however, with gameplay adjustments that, while had good intentions, slowly eroded away what Armored Core had come to be known as. Among mech fans, there's generally two schools of thought. One insisting that mech combat should be slow and methodical. These giant metal beasts lumbering along, laying waste to whatever targets in their way with an arsenal of powerful long-range weapons. The other school of thought is that these machines are nimble, jet-powered hyper-death dealers, capable of dodging missiles while having a Dragon Ball Z-style fistfight at Mach 2. For the most part, Armored Core stayed true to the former. ACs were large, cumbersome walking tanks that packed enough firepower to destroy city blocks. But for some reason, the PlayStation 3 games changed that. Coming out first for the PlayStation 3, we have Armored Core 4 in 2006. Right off the bat, players knew this was going to be a different experience. This was also the first case of an Armored Core game to be released on the Xbox 360, or any Xbox for that matter. The movement system was changed to make the overall game faster paced. It was starting to morph into the second category that I previously talked about, the fast, flashy side of mech combat. However, that wasn't the only thing that changed. The game was recognized for its poor technical state. Crashes, glitches, and other such bugs were constant on the PlayStation 3 version, making it one of the most poorly received additions to the franchise. Armored Core 4 Answer, I see what you did there From Software, was released in 2008 and sadly continued the tradition of technical problems on the PlayStation 3. And it's sad, because 4 Answer could have been great. It introduced online co-op play and had a branching storyline. Its technical problems held it back again and just wasn't the Armored Core fans had come to expect. Because of the many technical issues with Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer, many thought the series was over. From Software didn't release another Armored Core game for 4 years. When they did, it was near the end of the PlayStation 3's life, and it was bad.
This is what we all been waiting for.
Armored Core 5 released in 2012 and barely resembled an Armored Core game. Boost and jump jets were the order of the day, having your AC zip around the battlefield like a fighter jet. Also, this time around, we got more online focus instead of a single-player narrative. 20-on-20 matches for control of territory above ground. Really, the only thing Armored Core about this game is its name. The last Armored Core entry so far is Armored Core Verdict Day, a sequel to Armored Core 5 that returns the main story plot but still retains its multiplayer focus. I'm going to be honest here. After Armored Core 5, people really stopped paying attention. People stopped caring about the series, and I don't really know much about Verdict Day. It exists. That's all the Armored Core games up to this point. It was such an experience when it came out. Giant walking battle tanks with a weapon in each hand and 2 on your back. It wasn't your typical mech action game. It had all these different parts and things you could customize. Spider legs, bipedal legs, tank treads, gun arms like built-in cannons, various small arms like machine guns and rifles. It's like when you were a kid and somebody dumped a bucket of robot parts all over and said, "Here, go nuts." I remember the iconic weapon of the first game was the back-mounted grenade launcher. Once you finally got that, you felt like a mech god. It was a fantastic franchise, and it deserved better than just fizzling out. From Software is now busy making the latest and greatest of the Souls formula, and we may never see Armored Core again. But here's hoping we do. Maybe, just maybe, we can dust off our helmets and adopt that moniker of Raven one more time. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and stay safe. Hey everybody, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so very much for watching. Seriously, every view on my video is a treasure. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Also check out the links below for some goodies, some merch, and all that fun stuff. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.